there was a secret hiding behind the thrones. And that secret was hidden in your blood. For years they kept silent, hiding the truth from you. Write 444 in the comments now, because your mother was no ordinary person. She was the queen of a forbidden kingdom. You are the bearer of a lineage that once shook the balance of the universe, and now the truth is coming out. Your genetic code is not just a body, it holds the key to an ancient kingdom. Those who despise you will kneel when they learn your true lineage, because you are the heir to a throne sealed with secrets. In a world that often operates on silent judgments, there are places where the invisible hand of inequality is felt most keenly. You walk into a space designed to divide, where every action, every glance, and every movement is strategically calculated to determine your worth. The air is thick with preconceptions, subtly layered within the marble floors, golden fixtures, and air-conditioned atmosphere. It's a place where smiles are rehearsed and conversations have been fine-tuned for status. The moment you step in, you are instantly labeled, measured not by your actions, but by how the world perceives you. The social hierarchy isn't spoken, but woven into the very fabric of the establishment. You recognize this unspoken game before you even begin to play, understanding that every person around you is following a script they've been trained to follow, and you, in their eyes, are the outsider. As you stand at the edge of this moment, it feels like you're waiting in the calm before a storm. Everything still, yet charged with unspoken tension. You stand before the invisible line, like a warrior waiting at the threshold of battle, not for the clash of swords, but for something far more insidious. It's a line that you can't see, but you feel it pulling at you. A barrier crafted from years of bias and assumption. It's not a rope you can touch, but one woven from judgment, expectation, and the weight of history. As you stand there, you can feel the weight of invisible eyes on you, sizing you up, measuring your worth. Not by what you've done, but by what they assume you are. It's as if they have already written their story about you before you even take a step forward. You watch others breeze past, as if they are walking through open doors of opportunity, doors that slam shut the moment you approach. You remain steady and patient, though every glance, every whisper of dismissal is clear to you. You feel the subtle weight of rejection pressing in, not in the loud words, but in the slight shifts in body language, the moments when someone pretends to look elsewhere, the briefest of pauses that say, "You don't belong here." It's a kind of exclusion that doesn't need to be spoken. It's the small, deliberate acts, the subtle, invisible judgments that play out in every moment. A turn of the head here, a half-second of hesitation there. It's a dance that's been performed time and time again, and you know the steps by heart. You don't need to hear the words to know that they've already decided who you are, what you deserve, and where you fit in this place. But here's the truth. You are not defined by their assumptions. You are not confined to the space they've tried to carve out for you. In this moment, you stand at the boundary, not just of a physical space, but of a spiritual threshold. The tests you face are not about proving your worth to them, but about understanding your own power, your own purpose. This is a divine test, a moment of reckoning, not for them, but for you. They are the ones who will learn today, not by their words, but by your silent strength. You are not measured by their gaze, but by the infinite power that courses through your being. The power that remains unseen, yet undeniable. This moment is not about their judgment. It's about you stepping into the fullness of who you are. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. They cannot see the strength you carry, the wisdom that runs deeper than any assumptions they could make. They cannot measure the courage that fuels your soul, nor can they see the depth of the peace that comes from knowing you are connected to something far greater than their fragile assessments. They don't know that you are not here by accident, that every moment of exclusion is a step closer to your purpose being revealed. Every subtle act of rejection is a door opening to a higher understanding, a greater revelation of who you truly are. And so, as you stand there, facing these invisible barriers, you understand that you are the one who holds the power. Not the power to fight back, but the power to remain steadfast, to observe without being shaken, to witness the performance without being part of the play. You stand as a reminder to them of the truths they are too afraid to see. Your silence is more powerful than any anger you could express. Your patience is a form of resistance they cannot comprehend. Because in this moment, the true test is not for you, it is for them. They will be tested by your composure, by your dignity, by the quiet strength you carry. They will learn, perhaps without even realizing it, that they cannot define you, cannot control you, and cannot exclude you. For you know that every moment of rejection is a seed planted for your elevation. You know that, in time, the invisible rope that they've used to hold you back will become the very rope they hang themselves with. You are not here to fight the battle they've created. You are here to change the game entirely. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. And when the time comes, when their system cracks under the weight of their own contradictions, when their carefully constructed world begins to crumble, it will be because you held your ground, your presence, your patience, your unwavering dignity. These are the forces that will reshape everything. You are not waiting for permission to exist in their world. You are here to redefine it, to show them that the true power is not in their gates, but in the soul that walks through them without fear, without shame, and without apology. So, as you stand at the edge, know this: you are not waiting for them to recognize you. You are waiting for them to realize that they cannot contain you. Your strength is not measured by the gates they try to keep you from, but by your ability to stand at the threshold of greatness, knowing that the entire universe is conspiring in your favor. You are more than their assumptions, more than their judgments, and more than their barriers. You are a force of nature, a chosen one, destined to break through every wall they've tried to build. Despite the subtle cues of disdain, you remain poised. Your request, seemingly simple, is met with hesitation, drawn-out pauses, and questions that serve only to delay your progress. The same actions for others would have been processed in a matter of seconds. But for you, every step feels like a labyrinth, each document scrutinized under an unnecessarily harsh light. The explanations once again become convoluted and dismissive, spoken in a tone that borders on condescension. A seemingly trivial task becomes a challenge, a mountain that they've constructed just for you. You feel their discomfort at your calm persistence, their unease in the face of your unwavering composure. The walls of their institution, built from the very materials of exclusion, begin to crack as you stand firm. The atmosphere shifts as you continue to push forward, and suddenly, it's no longer just a transaction. You become aware that the dance of power has shifted. Their practiced ease begins to falter. The calm facade they've spent years perfecting slowly unravels as they begin to realize that you are not just another obstacle to overcome. The moment they thought would be another routine interaction has become one that exposes their true nature. The tone in their voices shifts, uncertainty creeps into their actions, and what once seemed like a smooth, impenetrable system now seems fragile, ready to break under the pressure of your quiet strength. It's not loud defiance, but the quiet assurance that you are a force they cannot control. The more they try to obscure, the clearer the truth becomes. The more they try to exclude, the more their weaknesses are exposed. And you stand there, patiently, calmly, undisturbed by their discomfort, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Imagine a fortress, one built stone by stone, with layers of pride, authority, and superiority, keeping others at bay. But even the strongest fortresses, no matter how sturdy they seem, are vulnerable to the right force. As the weight of truth presses down, the walls that once stood tall begin to tremble, cracks forming where once there was strength. That's what happens when the unseen forces of justice enter the picture. What was once immovable begins to fall apart. The manager, once confident in their control, now finds their foundation shaken. Their calm, polished exterior begins to crack as they realize that they are no longer in charge of the situation. The power they thought they held is slipping through their fingers, and with every passing second, they are forced to face the inevitable truth. The structure they've built on inequality is crumbling. What began as a quiet exchange suddenly takes on an entirely different energy, one charged with the force of revelation. The higher authorities arrive like a storm, a shift in the air that is felt before it's seen. The manager's face, once flushed with arrogance, drains of color, their eyes flicking to the new power that has entered the room. In that moment, everything they believed they controlled slips away. They can feel the ground beneath them shifting, and the air grows heavy with the weight of their impending downfall. The world they so carefully built in this small corner of the institution, one that had operated without challenge for so long, begins to disintegrate. And in just 7 minutes of quiet observation, of deliberate patience, the truth unravels everything they've worked to uphold. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. It's not the loud and chaotic moments that bring about the greatest revelations. No, it's the quiet moments. The moments when truth enters undetected, like a subtle shift in the wind before a storm. The manager's carefully constructed facade, built on layers of assumptions and privilege, begins to crack. Their once imposing authority evaporates in the face of scrutiny. They cannot hide from the truth any longer, and the consequences of their actions that had previously gone unchecked, are now unfolding before their eyes. The illusion of power is shattered, and in its place, there is only the cold reality that they are no longer in control. The institution they worked so hard to manipulate begins to turn, like a ship being steered by forces they can no longer deny. This is not just about one manager or one instance of injustice. This is the moment when the systems of power, which for so long have been built on inequality, are exposed for what they truly are. The once solid walls of discrimination begin to crumble piece by piece as the truth comes to light. What was once hidden in plain sight is now revealed. And as the walls come down, they will not just fall around the manager, they will expose the weaknesses in the system itself, weaknesses that have been festering for far too long. The arrival of the higher authorities doesn't just signal the end of the manager's control, it signals the beginning of something much greater. It is the start of a new order, one where truth cannot be ignored and where systems built on discrimination and exclusion cannot remain standing. The power shifts, not through confrontation or force, but through the quiet, unyielding presence of justice. In these moments, the chosen ones, those who have been patiently waiting, observing, documenting, find their place in the narrative. They don't need to fight for recognition. They simply need to stand firm and watch as the walls begin to fall. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. It may seem like nothing has changed. The same marble floors, the same polished counters, the same faces you've seen before. But the truth is, everything has changed. The manager is no longer in control, and the system that once seemed so unassailable is now cracking, piece by piece. The shift is subtle, but it's undeniable. The atmosphere changes, as if the very air in the room is charged with something new, something stronger than the power that once held sway. The manager, once so confident, is now powerless, escorted off the floor in a moment of defeat. In just 7 minutes, a system that had seemed unshakable has been exposed and its true weaknesses revealed. This is the power of the chosen ones, not in the moments of loud confrontation, but in the quiet power of patience and observation, in the quiet strength of waiting for the moment when truth will break through the barriers that have been built to keep it hidden. The manager's downfall is just one small piece of a much larger transformation. The real change will come as the institution itself is forced to reckon with what has been exposed. Policies will change, practices will be scrutinized, and future interactions will be shaped by the lessons learned in this moment. But this moment is not just about a manager losing their job, it's about the transformation of the system itself. It's about the dismantling of structures built on exclusion and the beginning of a new era, one where justice, fairness, and equality are no longer just ideals, but realities. The 7 minutes that seemed so fleeting are actually the beginning of lasting change, a change that will continue to ripple out, touching not just this institution, but every place where injustice still lurks in the shadows. The truth has been revealed, and nothing will ever be the same again. The walls that once kept you out have crumbled, and now the world must reckon with the power of those who have been chosen to stand patiently and resolutely until the truth finally sets them free. With the manager's removal, the dynamic in the room shifts. The operations continue, but now there's a subtle but unmistakable change. The employees who once ignored you, who once dismissed your presence, now approach with respect and professionalism. What once was delayed without reason now proceeds effortlessly. The services that were previously out of reach are suddenly available as the pressure you've quietly applied begins to have its effect. The higher-ups, now standing by your side, acknowledge the flaws in their system and apologize, demonstrating that the change is not just possible, it's already happening. The impact of your presence creates ripples of justice that spread far beyond the walls of this institution. Picture this: a river that's been dammed for years, its waters held back by walls of resistance and neglect. For generations, the flow of truth, justice, and equity has been confined, struggling to break through the artificial barriers. But now, with just a single crack in the dam, that once stagnant water begins to rush forth, unstoppable, reclaiming its path. What was once hidden, buried beneath layers of complacency and indifference, now floods the system with undeniable force. The dam, once thought to be unbreakable, has been breached. In the same way, this moment is more than the downfall of one person. It's the beginning of a flood that will sweep through the very foundations of the institution. The moment the manager is escorted out, the shift is palpable. It's like the ground shifting beneath your feet. Something massive has changed, and it's undeniable. What started as a small disruption, a subtle shift in power, now ripples through the entire organization. The policies that once allowed for the mistreatment of those like you will be questioned, re-evaluated, and ultimately reformed. No longer will the walls of exclusion stand as tall as they once did, because the cracks have begun to show, and the truth can't be hidden away any longer. In the same way that light cannot be contained, your actions have brought truth to the surface. What was once obscured, systemic inequality, bias, and discrimination, has now been exposed for all to see. The institutions that once held these practices in place will be forced to confront their failures. Just as the sun's rays melt away the coldness of the night, so too does this moment of accountability begin to thaw the rigidity of old systems. It will not be easy, and it will not be immediate, but the groundwork has been laid for change. This institution, which once seemed impervious to transformation, will now begin to reassess its values, its methods, and its actions. Employees who once ignored the signs of injustice, who played their parts in maintaining the status quo, will now be forced to face the truth. Retraining will take place. A new culture will begin to emerge, one where respect, fairness, and equality aren't just empty words, but foundational principles. The customer who once walked in and felt invisible, disrespected, and undervalued will no longer experience the same treatment. They will feel seen. They will feel heard. They will feel respected. The transformation you've ignited will ensure that future customers, people just like you, won't face the same struggles you did. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles. Feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. But this isn't just about making a few adjustments or implementing surface-level changes. No, the institution's core values have been exposed, and now, like a ship caught in a storm, it must change course or risk sinking. The walls that once held in injustice, the attitudes that once perpetuated inequality, now stand as evidence of what happens when power is allowed to go unchecked. And though the manager's position may have been taken, the ripple effect is far greater. This is the moment when systems begin to bend, not because of force or resistance, but because they are being transformed from within. Just like the tree that grows tallest when it faces the strongest winds, the institution will grow stronger through this change. The values it holds, once buried under decades of ignorance and willful blindness, will now be nurtured, reshaped, and ultimately strengthened. The power of one act of accountability, one moment of truth, has changed the course of history for this institution. This is just the beginning of a new chapter, one where the truth is no longer optional but necessary. The ripple effect will spread, not just within the confines of this building, but beyond. The message of transformation, the call for justice, will travel through the hearts and minds of all who witness this shift. It will carry with it the power to dismantle the old ways and build something new, something better. What started as a single act of standing firm in the face of mistreatment has now become a movement, one that will reshape not just an institution, but an entire system. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. And so, as you stand there, witnessing the change unfold, know this: the power was always within you. The walls were never as strong as they seemed, and the systems, though powerful in their own right, could never stand against the force of truth. With each moment you stood patiently, with each interaction you calmly documented, you laid the foundation for something greater than yourself. This transformation is a testament to the power of accountability, and it's just the beginning of the changes yet to come. The power of the chosen ones is not in confrontation, but in quiet transformation. You don't need to shout to make your presence known. Your composed demeanor, your ability to endure and document the wrongs, has set a powerful chain of events into motion. The justice you've invoked is not about seeking personal revenge. It's about pushing forward necessary change for everyone. The ripple effect of your actions extends far beyond the immediate situation. The chosen ones know that real power lies not in loud demonstrations, but in patient, strategic observation, and in the ability to hold the system accountable through thoughtful and intentional action.